Hello, dear students. I'm Masood Pervaiz. I'm senior lecturer for the paper Audit and Assurance at Synergic Training. I hope you guys are doing good and preparing well for your exam. I have already shared with you guys a video of around 40 minutes in which I have highlighted the key issues faced by students of Audit and Assurance, and I have discussed few technical areas as well like risk, MTQs, and audit procedures. My this short video will be about the detailed question which relates to your section B, and I have selected the paper for September 2016, which is available in the ACCA practice platform. Now let's look at the requirements. The requirement of this particular question is to identify and explain 7 deficiencies in the sales system of Heraclean Co. and provide recommendation. It's a typical question in which you are given with a sales system and you are required to identify deficiencies in that particular system. Definitely you have to explain that why you think it's a deficiency, and you have to give recommendations on that. Now, before we start reading the question, there are very few basic things which you should consider whenever you are reading a scenario. First of all, the industry of the client. It's important. You should be underlying that. Number second, is it a recurring audit or it's a new audit? Because the perspective will be different. Thirdly, what is your role in the scenario? This is again a very, very important factor which you have to consider. The next point you have to consider is the phase of audit. What is the current phase? Is it a planning phase of audit? Is it an execution phase? Is it a review phase? Is it a conclusion, review, or reporting phase? Because you have to think accordingly in accordance with the phase of the audit. So these are very few basic things, and one very important thing is the requirement verb. Secondly, before we start the question and look at the things in detail, so if I refresh your memories with respect to system, so I hope you guys all understand that every system is having certain subsystems, and every subsystem is having certain risks, and you have to have certain controls to manage those risks or to mitigate those risks. Now, if you look at controls, so generally controls have two broad categories. One is preventive controls and second one is detective controls. Now, my strong recommendations is that whenever you are suggesting a control or you are identifying a deficiency, you should link it with the classification. It's a preventive deficiency or it's a detective deficiency, or you are suggesting a control which is preventive in nature or detective. Like segregation of duty is your preventive measure, authorization is a preventive measure, pre-numbering is a preventive measure, rotation is a preventive measure, reconciliation is a detective measure. So this is one way to grab the question, that what preventive measures are missing in this particular scenario and what detective measures are missing in this particular scenario. So as I am short of time as well, so I have reproduced the answer of this particular question, and let's try to read the question, and then I will link that question with the answer and how to draft the answer. This is very, very important. So let's start. So Heraclean Co. is a manufacturer of football and is a new audit client. It's a new audit client. You have to take this thing in mind. You are an audit supervisor. So in the firm, your role is of an audit supervisor. You are currently preparing for the forthcoming interim and final audit for the year ended 31st October. You are required to document and assess the sales system. So the main objective is to document and assess the sales system. Now look at the sales system. Heraclean Co. sells football to a range of large and small sports equipment retailers in several countries. Sales are through a network of sales staff employed by Heraclean Co., but new customer leads are generated through third-party companies. Sales staff are responsible for assessing new customer credit worthiness. This is very important, that sales staff are responsible for assessing new customer credit worthiness and proposing a credit limit, which is then authorized by the sales director. So this is the first deficiency in this particular system. Now, if you look at the answer, which I have reproduced already, so the deficiency is new customers credit worthiness is assessed by a salesperson who set the credit limit. So in majority cases, you will have the deficiency in the scenario. All you have to do is just to reproduce that particular deficiency from the scenario to your answer sheet with little tweaking of the wordings which is required. So once you identify the deficiency, you have to explain it, that why you think, what are the implications. So normally, if you look at the implication, if new customer credit worthiness is assessed by a salesperson, so there is a possibility that the sales staff have targets to meet, and they suggest new customer and credit worthiness simply to meet their targets. So this could result in sales being made to poor credit risk. So whenever you are explaining or you are talking about implication, you use the word could. There is a possibility. There is maybe this is the case. So in this particular case, the word could is being used, that this could result in sales being made to poor credit risks. Now, if you look at the recommendation, so the recommendation is that new customer credit application should be checked through a credit agency and the limit should be approved by the credit controller. So if you look at the classification, I think that the control which is missing is preventive in nature. There is a lack of segregation of duties. I think approving a new customer credit limit should be done by a separate department. It should not be done by the sales department. So I think that preventive measure is missing, which I have already discussed with you guys initially. Now, if you read it further, the sales staff have monthly sales targets and are able to use their discretion in granting sales discount up to a maximum of 10%. Again, there is an issue like that sales staff have discretion to grant sales discount to customers up to 10%. Now, this is the deficiency. Again, you have taken out that deficiency from the scenario and you have reproduced it in your answer. Now, when you talk about implication, again, this could result in a loss of revenue. Again, the word is this may result in a loss of revenue, or this could result, because there is a possibility that this can happen. So if sales staff is giving discounts, this will result in lost revenue. This will result in unrealistic discounts to meet sales target, and the discount granted by the sales staff are not being reviewed and could result, again the word is could result, in unauthorized discounts allowed. So when you are recommending, you are supposed to be certain, you are supposed to be very assertive. So all discounts to be granted to customer should be authorized in advance by a responsible official such as sales director. Again, authorization is a preventive measure, and the word is all discounts to be granted to customers should be authorized. So whenever you are recommending, you are supposed to be certain and assertive. Next, then they then record any discount granted in the customer master data file. Again, there's a deficiency that sales staff are able to make changes to the customer data file. So there is a risk that these amendments could be made incorrectly, resulting in a loss of sales revenue. Sales staff, they are not senior enough to make changes in the customer master file. So there again a segregation of duty is missing, which is again a preventive measure. So our first deficiency relates to preventive issues. Our second deficiency again relate to preventive issues, lack of segregation, and even our third deficiency relates to certain preventive issues, and those preventive controls are to be in place. Like the recommendation is that sales staff should not be able to access the master file to make amendments. Any such amendments be restricted so that only supervisor or senior person should be doing it. Okay, so the sales staff visit customer sites personally and orders are completed using a two-part pre-printed audit form. One copy is left with the customer and the other copy is retained by the salesperson. So again, the issue is that you are only having two copies. So customer orders are recorded on a two-part pre-printed form. One copy is left with the customer and one with the salesperson. Now the issue is that the sales department does not hold these orders centrally and hence would not be able to monitor if an order are being fulfilled on a timely basis. This could result in a loss of revenue and customer goodwill. So there will be a loss of revenue, customer goodwill will be affected, and the warehouse department will be having no idea what to dispatch and what to not. So in this particular case, the control which is being suggested that the order form should be amended at least 4 parts. The third part of the order should be sent to the warehouse department, so they should be knowing what to dispatch. And the fourth part sent to the finance department, so they can afterwards generate invoice on that. If you look at the sale subsystems, so it works like this, like there is a ordering subsystem, then there's a credit control subsystem, then there's a dispatching subsystem, then there is invoicing, then accounting and recording. So all those subsystems need to be coordinated. So the copy of the salesperson should be stored centrally in the sales department. Now the sale order number is based on a salesperson own identification ID. I think normally the sale order should be pre-numbered, and they should be sequentially pre-numbered, because once an order is received, then it will go into the pending file, then it is going to be dispatched, and you have to trace that particular order as well. So this is again a deficiency, that customer orders are given a number based on salesperson own identification number. So these numbers are not sequential, like I mentioned earlier, and it will be difficult for Heraclean Co to identify missing orders and to monitor all orders are dispatched in a timely manner, leading to loss of customer goodwill. Again, this pre-numbering or sequential numbering is again a preventive control. So sale order should be sequentially numbered. Again, whenever you are suggesting, you are supposed to be certain, should be sequentially numbered, and normally they are numerically sequenced rather than alphanumeric. So on a regular basis, a sequence check order should be undertaken to identify and missing orders. So again, it's a preventive issue which is being highlighted in this particular scenario. Now, the company market itself on being able to dispatch all order within 3 working days. Once the order is taken, the salesperson email the finance department and warehouse dispatch team with the customer ID and the sale order details, and from there a pick list is generated. Now the issue is that the salesperson emailed the warehouse dispatch team with the customer ID and sale order rather than a copy of sale order itself. So again, there are certain issues that there is a risk that incorrect or insufficient details may be recorded by the salesperson, and those could result in incorrect order being dispatched, order being dispatched late, or order failing to be dispatched at all, resulting in a loss of customer goodwill and revenue. So the third part of the sale order, as mentioned previously, should be forwarded directly to the warehouse. I have already discussed that you should be having the order having 4 copies, and 1 copy should be given to the warehouse, so that they should be knowing that what items to be dispatched. So that pick list should be generated from the original order form, and the warehouse team should check correct quantities and product descriptions are being dispatched, as well as checking the quality of goods being dispatched. Again, there is an issue in that particular system. Now again, your basic knowledge about any sales system is very important, and you should be knowing that what are certain risks in those. Like there is a possibility that an order is received and it is not being dispatched. It's a risk. There is a risk that an order is dispatched but it is not invoiced. So these are few generalized risks of a sales system which you should be knowing about. Now, again, sequentially numbered good dispatch notes are completed and filed by the warehouse department. If finance department does not receive a copy of these good dispatch note, definitely they will not be able to raise the invoice. So again, we have suggested to have 4 copies of the order. So upon dispatch of goods, a fourth part good dispatch note should be completed with the copy to customer, warehouse, sales department to confirm dispatch of goods, and the copy to the finance department so that finance department is able to generate the invoice, because there is a risk that few goods being dispatched but they are not invoiced. Now at the end, sequentially numbered invoices are generated using a pick list or quantity and customer master file for prices. Standard credit term for customer are 30 days, and on a monthly basis, sale invoices which are over 90 days outstanding are notified to the relevant salesperson to chase payment directly with. Again, the issue is that the salesperson is given with the responsibility to chase customer directly for payment. So that is not the job of salesperson. They are only interested in generating sales. They will not be motivated to recover the payments. And it is after 90 days, which is this is considerably in excess of the company credit limit of 30 days, which will lead to poor cash flows. So salespersons are focused on generating sales order rather than chasing payments. So this could result in an increase in bad debts and reduce profit and cash flows. So what is suggested? So the suggestion is a credit controller should be appointed, and it should be their role rather than the salesperson to chase the outstanding. Again, the recommendation is that credit controller should be appointed. Again, this particular issue is segregation of duties. So if I re-emphasize, whenever you are given with a question of a system in which you have to identify the deficiencies, you have to explain it. In explanation, we normally use the word there's a risk, this could be possible, there may be a chance. So these words to be used whenever you are trying to explain that deficiency. From where that deficiency is coming? Straight from the question. You have to identify the deficiency, and you can simply copy paste that deficiency with few changes in wordings to your answer. Whenever you are recommending, you are supposed to be very certain. One last thing, the classification of controls into preventive and detective is very, very important, because in many cases there are many issues which are preventive in nature, which are missing in the scenario. Like there's no segregation, there is no rotation, there's a lack of pre-numbering, there's a lack of sequential numbering, there's a lack of authorization. So these particular points are to be considered whenever you are attempting a question which relates to system. So I hope you guys will like this video and will try to attempt that particular question in accordance with the direction given. So my best wishes for all of you and good luck for your exam. Take care and bye bye.